I wanted to introduce you to my audience. For those who don't know, Jean Schienle is a longtime friend of mine. I've met her through our mutual SGI Buddhist practice down in Florida. I have, in the past 3 years, moved back up to my hometown in Lexington, Kentucky, and Jean has moved to Dunedin, Florida. So we're going to dive a little bit into Jean as an artist. And when I asked her how she wanted me to introduce her, she said, quote, "I seem to have an addiction to putting paint on canvas to express my joy in the beauty of life." So with that introduction, we're going to dive into the art of Jean Schienle, my friend, who really has just started getting into art in the last 5 years after she retired, right?
Yeah, that's right. Mm-hmm.
And just for everyone to know, I will put a link to Jean's Facebook page. It's called Art by Jean on Facebook. And I'll plop that in the notes below the show notes so that you can easily find that and check her art out. So before I go any further, I also want to mention for those who are in Florida area or Dunedin or wherever, or Safety Harbor, can you tell us, I know that you have art in 2 local shops. Can you tell us the names of those shops, where they are, so people can find your work there?
Yes, downtown Dunedin, Florida is a little coastal town right off of Clearwater, Florida. If you're not that familiar with this area, there's a cute little boutique downtown called the Thistle.
I like that shop.
Yes, and I have some of my paintings there, and also a little shop in Safety Harbor, which is a little bit east of us, and it's also on Clearwater Bay, another little coastal community, called the Safety Harbor Galleria.
Okay, awesome. And I will try to get the links to what you just mentioned and plop those down there too for people that might want to check that out.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. So I know that you started taking art classes after you retired, and you say that you already enjoyed art and craft activities,
Yes.
but you never really had any instruction until you retired, right?
Right. I always thought, well, someday when I have more time, I'm going to take some art classes. I always was drawn to art, many different types of arts and crafts, as you said. So living in Dunedin, there is a beautiful fine art center here. Yeah, it's gorgeous, and they offer classes and everything. So I was able to start taking classes there, and it's just a whole new world for me. I've just loved it. Mm-hmm.
I love it too. And I just want to say for the record, because Jean is a friend of mine and she can slap me around whenever she wants to. But like, I remember before she retired, I would say to her, just because I know her personality, I would say, "You are such an artist." And she would say, "Oh, phoo, I'm not an artist." But boy, she is such an artist. Wait till you see some of the paintings. And I'm going to show a screenshot in a minute here so you can see some of the work that she's done. You are an artist now, and you've really embraced that in your retirement. And I know you talked about that you have an awesome mentor, actually a couple of mentors that help you with your art, who are guiding you, as you say, in your endeavor to express the joy in your life. And I wanted to ask you, I think what you told me was that you have 2 teachers in particular from the Dunedin Fine Arts Center. Can you tell me who they are and a little bit about, their work?
Sure. The one lady that I really consider my mentor, because I just love her style of painting, is Lorraine Pataki. She works at the Fine Arts Center teaching a few classes there, but she also has her own studio in downtown Dunedin that she shares with another teacher, mentor of mine called Candy Shultise. Candy also teaches at the Fine Arts Center. But of course, since we've had the COVID-19, the Fine Arts Center has been closed for several weeks, approximately 3 months. And they've just opened it up again in a very limited capacity. Lorraine is teaching, and I started taking another class with her. It's impressionistic style. And Candy is not back to work yet. She's staying home, staying safe.
Yeah, I like that you're taking an impressionistic class, because I've seen some of your work. To me, I'm not an artist, disclaimer, but to me, a lot of your work lends itself to that impressionist style. So I'm eager to see how that's going to impact what you're doing. But why do you consider, these your mentors in art?
Well, I think I was drawn to them in different ways. Lorraine, especially with her style of art, I just love it. I mean, to me, it's been very inspiring. And she's also a great instructor. Okay. So through her classes, I've just learned so much. I had no basic knowledge of how to apply paint or what to do with paint. I just knew that there was something in me that had to get out. So anyway, she's, with her style and technique, I've really enjoyed learning with her. And Candy is got a different style, very, what's the word? Intuitive, I would say. She really believes in trying to just forget about everything and let your heart speak and get it out. And she uses a lot of multimedia techniques. So I've also taken some of her classes, which I think is great to really open up and develop, you know, what's in your heart. And that's what, to me, art is all about. It's just expression. It's really wanting to express myself and how I feel. And that's why I feel like it's an addiction now.
Because you want to express yourself.
Just, yes. It's a good way to express yourself. Definitely.
I like that. I can see that being really therapeutic. What do you mean when you say multimedia techniques? I don't know what that means. I'm not an artist.
Well, instead of just using paint and a paintbrush, she uses a variety of types of tools. And
gotcha.
She might use all sorts of paper and all sorts of everyday, like, household objects as tools to create a lot of interest in the pictures.
I love that.
What we used to call like decoupage, taking paper and print and applying it to the canvas and then maybe painting over that. She uses rollers. She uses credit cards. Anything you can find around the house, you can use. So it's very creative.
That is intuitive too, and outside the box thinking. I love that.
Definitely. Yes.
What philosophy underlies or motivates what you do? Yeah, I'm going to say, I had asked you this question in advance, and you said, I have a philosophy to be the best I can be and to empower others to reach their potential.
Mm-hmm.
So
Thank you. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yes.
That's what underlies your motivation to paint?
Well, for women in general to dig deep down into themselves and find their happiness and whatever makes them happy, and to really empower them to go for that and look for that. And to me, it's not really like about the final product. It's about the journey and all the different people that I've met on this journey. I think it's great to, you know, expand your life and have opportunities to meet other people. So not only the instructors, but all the other people in the classes, and then all the people in the community that you get linked to by getting involved in shows, things like that. It just expands and opens up your life. And then when you have some success and you build confidence, you feel empowered. Yeah. And women need to feel empowered. Yeah.
And so, I'm sorry, I'm taking notes real quick. So to reiterate that best that I can, your philosophy behind doing this is a lot about personally, you know, your own journey to expand your life, expand your inner life. And that has through your efforts to improve your painting and through meeting other people, whether it's in the classes with other students or with your teachers, or even when you've done art shows and the people that start to see and start now buying your art, it builds, you have some success, and that builds your confidence, and that empowers you, and you want that for other women. That's kind of the underlying theme. Is that what you were saying?
Right. Yeah.
Make sure I got that. That's awesome. You know, more people need that. And that to me is the power of art in general, whether it's writing or music or art. I really feel, you know, through my personal journey as a Buddhist, that the Buddhist philosophy has impacted the way I look at myself as a creative person. And in the sense of kind of what you're describing, I feel like it's my mission to do exactly what you said, to find something in my life, you know, digging deep down, being still with myself and reaching really deeply inside of myself and bringing that out to express it. And that in itself is a cathartic experience that really for me, and I'm sure for you, kind of elevates my mood and elevates my confidence.
Right.
And that message is to me the responsibility of artists to bring that kind of empowerment to others through that creative process.
Right. It's not, I think we have a responsibility to share with others. And if I'm happy and doing my passion, and I want to express that and spread it out to other people that I meet. Yeah.
So important. Though I will say, in the past, I've had people talk to me about, the idea that artists have to be in a state of suffering in order to have the creative energy to do something. And I've lived both sides of that. And I'm sure as a human, I'll continue to live both sides of that, in the sense that, for example, when I've suffered, whether it's grief or a failure or just something in my life that's not going well, that I've been able to many times use that to transform my suffering into poetry or into music or into words, or and now I do nature photography, so I use that a lot to transform sometimes negative feelings into something positive. But what I like a lot about what I see in your art anyway is I don't see the suffering there. And I'm not saying that you don't suffer, because I know you're a human being and I'm sure you go up and down. But I think, there's a flip side of how I look at the mission of an artist. Rather than feeling like I have to be connected to suffering all the time, I like what you're expressing to me is the joy of what you can find in your own life, and then bringing that out. It's not all about suffering. Sometimes it's about looking deeply and finding that joy and expressing it for other people. So I like that about your art. Do you feel like you, the artist, do you know what I'm talking about? A lot of people say that artists have to suffer in order to create.
Right.
Do you feel like you suffer to create, or is most of your creating pretty joyful, or kind of a mix?
Well, I've had people tell me that my art is so happy.
It
and
does,
I think that must express my state of life at times, when I am happy. And I love to paint nature as well. And to me, there is so much joy in nature. Just the joy and beauty of nature changes my state of life, maybe from suffering to happiness.
Yeah.
But I have to share that back in February, March, when the beginning of this pandemic that we're in, I did express a lot of pain on canvas with a lot of different styles and deep, dark colors. And I think that was therapeutic for me.
Yeah, I'm sure. I wonder if it turned out looking like suffering, though, because a lot of times I'm not an artist, but a lot of times when I start out in my deepest funk, what comes out of that musically or in poetry, or when I write as a blogger, what comes out of that is surprisingly very optimistic. But I have to go through that deep stuff, and it kind of is like it forces it out of me, and then through the process of creating, for me, it turns it into something positive. Do you feel like that might have happened, or you think it was just dumping the negativity?
Just dumping a lot of negativity. And actually what came out was a lot of like bright colors and almost to me like burning and fire.
Wow.
So
yeah,
that was probably representative of something.
Well, and I think it's indicative of the times that were the pandemic and the country's, very clear divide with racism and just everything that's going on in the world. And I think part of that, for me, part of the responsibility of artists is to reflect reality. So I think you were in that moment, and I think that's part of our mission as artists, to tell the truth. This is where we're at. You mentioned that you have artistic mentors whose names and links I will plop in the show notes for people to check out their artwork as well. In the Dunedin Fine Arts Center, I'll plop that down in there. And your galleries that you've mentioned, the Thistle and Safety Harbor Gallery, I'll put those links below too. I've been to all those places and they are really fantastic. There's a lot going on there. But you mentioned also that you have a Buddhist mentor, and I want to know, why do you consider, I know you have artist mentors for your art, but why do you consider this person your Buddhist mentor? Oh, and one more question. And how does your Buddhist spiritual mentor impact your approach to your art, if it does?
Well, thank you. Yeah, I think it's important to have a spiritual mentor as well, to kind of for me personally, to keep me on track, to remember what is important in life. And so I can always go back to his words if I'm feeling a little off track or unsettled or lost. I can always go back to his words, and it kind of recenters me and puts me on the right track again.
Love that. Can you tell us his name? Who was your Buddhist mentor?
Well, his name is Daisaku Ikeda. He's based in Japan.
Okay, I'll put his link down there too, so people know.
He's actually the current president of SGI, which is Soka Gakkai International. It's a global organization. It's a Buddhist organization.
And people who have heard me before on my podcast through my website, YourCreativeChord.com, I've talked about Daisaku Ikeda as he's also my Buddhist mentor. So, and that's how we've met, through the SGI organization. But yeah, he's powerful for many people. For me, I feel like he's just the epitome of a role model in terms of how to live humanistically and how to face obstacles and turn them into opportunities and benefits and a way to deepen our humanism, basically. And I love that you keep that at the forefront.
Yes.
How does that impact your art, do you think?
Well, like I said earlier, it's not all about me and my own selfish interests or just putting paint on canvas. It's all about just self-development and my message. And President Ikeda, whatever obstacle or difficulty or success you're having in life, he always has words of encouragement. And I find that so necessary in my life. I just believe in the humanistic philosophy. And of course, that's why I so connect to him. Yeah. Because if we could all have that type of philosophy and realize that every single person is entitled to happiness in their life, that gives us all a sense of purpose and mission.
How are you approaching the topic for yourself of finding happiness? And how do you feel your journey toward happiness could inspire others? And we touched on that a little bit earlier with your art, but can you elaborate a little bit?
Yeah, I think we have touched on that a little bit, about how I believe everyone is entitled to be happy. And that's really one of the keys to life. Because if we're happy with ourselves and in our own lives, we're not going to be out shooting other people or creating violence.
Right.
And I've moved here approximately 5 years ago now. And I had lost my husband just recently. And then I came here because my mother was suffering and she subsequently passed away. So I had a lot of grief and change in my life that I had to overcome. And I could easily slip into depression and isolation. But luckily, my mentor's message of always being optimistic and being happy saved me. And so I just used the art as a way to begin to move forward. So that way I could express myself. I could find my inner happiness. I could meet other people and just continue to grow my life instead of isolating, which I could have easily done.
I love this, and I can't wait. I'm going to share the screen in a second so people can see how amazing your art is. I don't care what you say. And how powerfully it's so colorful, and it's like, I feel like every painting, because we're friends, and sometimes you'll send me a text with one of your recent works, and every piece of work that you send to me, it's like better than the last one. and it's always so and there's like a life state within the art, and it is so uplifting. It like you mentioned earlier, and other people have noticed that your art really reflects joy. So I'm going to show those in just a second. But I also know that, because I know you personally, and you kind of very humbly, poo-pooed the idea that you could possibly be an artist. And yet now you've really embraced that, and you're really painting, and you're doing all kinds of activities with that. And I wanted to ask, what is one goal that you had accomplished with your art within the past 6 months?
The little shop downtown that I'm now selling my art at, I have always admired that store. And when I first started going there like 3 or 4 years ago, I told the owner that, someday, Paula, I'm going to have my work on display in your shop. And she said, Oh yeah, well, we'll see about that because of course I was a total beginner at the time and I didn't feel like I had produced anything worthy of putting up for sale, of course. So now, 3 years later, I now have 9 paintings for sale in her shop, and I recently just sold 6.
Oh my gosh. So you had originally, when I asked you that, she had just accepted 6 of your paintings and sold 5 of them in one day. So now you have 9, you said?
Yes.
And you sold an additional one.
Yes.
You're going to have to stay busy to keep her walls covered.
Right. Yeah. Good thing because I paint almost every day. So
especially in the pandemic.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you have any new goals with mainly keeping her walls full, or any other new goals with your art?
Well, recently because of the virus going around, we cannot have art shows like we normally would, at an art gallery. Right. And I've been involved in some of those, and they're a lot of fun. So I had a goal of searching and seeing about being maybe on a virtual art show, in a virtual art show. And I recently was invited to be in an art show for women over 50. Oh, hate to say that, I'm over 50.
Me too.
So I just went ahead and applied for that show, and I've been accepted. So that's fun.
Wonderful. And I'll grab the links from you for those too, so I can plop those in the notes when this comes out, so people know how to kind of go check it out. That's awesome, Jean. And I also had asked you if there was anything else you wanted to mention, and you wanted to share. Can you tell us a little bit about your history? Before you retired, you worked with children to overcome their obstacles to reach their potential. Can you share a little bit, elaborate on that? What do you mean?
Well, for the past 20-something years, I did work with children as an occupational therapy assistant, and I worked for the school board of Pasco County, which is local school board here. And I just really enjoyed that as my career. It was just an honor, really, to work with these children. And in occupational therapy, the goal is to overcome any kind of hindrance that the child may have to reach their goals in life. And in school, that might be being able to use their hands to access a computer, or maybe to be able to learn how to hold a pencil, and when they can't do that, maybe they have some kind of physical disability that requires special seating equipment. So it's just all about being creative also in a different way, and helping each child become really independent. So I felt that was very fulfilling. And I've continued to do that in a part-time basis just up until now, when, the virus kind of shut us down for that.
This has been a real pleasure, and I want to actually share my screen. So as I'm talking, I'm going to show some of Jean's work. I just want to give people an image, a couple of images. These are some of the things that you've recently painted. I am inspired a lot by nature, so most of my paintings are nature. Yes, and I recognize this one because, as you know, I'm also totally inspired, and nature is my therapy and my religion in many ways. And so this is a photo I took just for people to know the background. And you painted this, and it's at the original place that this photo was from was the University of Kentucky Arboretum in Lexington, Kentucky. You did a little bit of art, what do you call it, poetic license? Well, yeah, I do. I am basically abstract expressionism. That's my style. I love that. So, not realist. Yeah, that's neat. And here's another one. What inspired this one? This was just what I've been feeling lately. Just a lot of sky and water. You must really feel purple. I love purple. Yeah. Yes. I love this. Where is this? It looks like the outside of the Fine Arts Center in Dunedin to me. Oh, I know it's not. It's actually down the street. It's one of my neighbor's front yards. I was so impressed with his garden, I had to paint part of it for him. It was just gorgeous. Beautiful. I love that. Snow. Yes. Was this Tennessee that inspired this? No, this was actually inspired by one of my Buddhist journals that I receive every month. The cover on it was so beautiful. I kind of used that as my inspiration. Very nice. Love this one.
This is a local neighborhood, just walking by in the morning. One of my art instructors had taken this photo and shared it with us during the shutdown when we weren't able to get out to class. So she gave us online classes, and this was one of the things I did under her direction. Mm-hmm.
And this can really inspire some people too, that, take advantage of the online, incredible, everything is online now. And this is a great opportunity to take some art classes or writing classes or art classes or any kind of creative outlet that you want to explore.
Right. And Lorraine really went above and beyond the call of duty by giving us online classes during that time. She didn't have to do that.
This is nice.
This is one of my favorites too. It's just inspired from my head, just water and sky.
A lot of what walking down to the beach looks like.
Yeah, we're walking to our local beach. That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I love this one. What inspired that?
Just more of my water. I love water and waterways, sky.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Water is so therapeutic and calming. I love this one too. I like the blues in this.
Yes, this is walking along the main street, downtown Dunedin, along the water. Mm-hmm.
I love that. I'm going to say this. This is a pic from a photo that I sent you of a picture of my sister's house on her farm, which you took liberty to redo and say no more. And this is a walk down from my morning walk. I sent you a picture of the sunrise, and this literally looks like what I'm looking at the end of my street on my morning walk. But I love how you added all the blue flowers at the bottom and all that purple in there, because that's not really there in reality. There's just green field, but that is a really beautiful mix of a variety of color and texture and, foreground, background. You did a whole lot of stuff to that picture. I wish it really looked like that down here.
I felt like there was lavender growing there, so I had to put.
I wish there were. This is an interesting thing you did. What made you want to put like a collage of music and tropical? What inspired you to do this?
It's more multimedia type work, where I was inspired by some of this old sheet music that I found. A friend of mine who is a musician, actually, she was moving and she found a whole ream of old sheet music that fell down behind her piano. And funny. She gave me, and a lot of the songs had themes to them. Some of them were about, this one was Twilight. There was a lot of sailing songs. So I did several that were with sailboats on the ocean, but this one was Twilight, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Very befitting of where you live. You really live in a nice little eclectic art town. And it's
lots of palm trees here.
Yeah, yes. Lots of tropical stuff there, including flamingos.
Well, that was nice. You showed some of my paintings. Thank you.
Well, I want to say this inspires me because I came down last year and I brought my mother who met you, and my mom is a self-taught artist herself. And you and I went out for a walk out in Safety Harbor, right in front of the Safety Harbor Gallery where a lot of your paintings are. And I sent you a picture of it and you painted this. And I want to say also thank you because my mom is 80 and I'm now her caregiver, just for people who know why I'm talking so much about my mama. But she's a self-taught painter herself, and she in her 30s through 50s was doing a lot of the art shows and galleries and things like that. Yes. So it was really nice to bring her down, and you very graciously sat with her in your Dunedin condo and you guys painted some things together. And I'm going to actually interview my mom and show some of her work in a future date too.
Great.
This brings me back to that.
Yes, that was so much fun painting with your mom.
She's a good doober. We'll keep her. And I love this one. What inspired this one?
This was another online lesson I took from Lorraine over the pandemic when we couldn't get out. She took this took this photo in her neighborhood, actually, and
it's beautiful. I love that.
So I was inspired to paint it.
It really, it's interesting. It's in her neighborhood, but it reminds me a lot. I take walks or cycle in Lexington. There's, the Legacy Trail, and there are plenty of opportunities to walk over bridges with little creeks and rivers like this, and little I don't know what they call them. This shows my ecological ignorance, but but they build these bodies of water full of all kinds of vegetation, hardy hibiscus, like black-eyed Susans and cattails, things like that. And you'll see egrets and things plop down in there. It's so beautiful. It really reminds me of that. It's in Florida, but it looks like Kentucky to me.
Well, that's the part of it I really love, are all the marshy lands.
Oh, I love that. I just really wanted to include that in our discussion so people know the artist and what our art philosophy is, and here's what it looks like.
Well, thank you. It's so nice to be interviewed by you. Thank you so much.
Well, I enjoyed it. Thank you so much for joining me, Jean Schienle, and sharing your art and your spirit behind your art and taking so much time today to share. I know it's going to be very inspirational for many people, and I think that's what we need right now. So thank you for all you do toward that.
You're welcome. Thank you. It's my honor. Thank you.